a student joining in. So maybe you can let me know whatever is not being understood, if I'm going too fast, if things are not really understandable, right? Just let me know about that. Yeah. So I'll start with the introduction to management. Before we pursue, or sorry, one more question I have. Which specialization you have taken?
Ma'am, finance.
Finance. Okay. So even if you're studying finance or HR or marketing, any one of these things, one important thing is to understand what actually management is all about, right? General management. Because when we go inside an organization, first thing that we need to understand is how the companies are being managed by people, whether they are in which whatever specialization, but an information and an understanding of basic rules of how the management works, what exactly does it mean, and what are the major principles of management that we use in all these specialization as well. So though my specialization is in HR, but being in the organization, without understanding of these principles of management and the basic introduction of management, we can't even go ahead with management. Right. I've handled operations management for organizations for 4, 5 years as well. During that time also, these principles, especially the 14 principles of management that we are going to talk about today, are going to play a very integral role. Once this understanding comes, you will be able to design the salary structures that you're going to do in the finance, the income tax computations, what is the role of and how the TDS being deducted, how the GST is being deducted as per the levels of people in the company. All that information comes from these general management of principles, right? So we'll be going through that. I'll just share my screen so that you can see the PPT as well. You can see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Correct. So now let's understand what exactly management is all about. So what do you think? What is management in your language? You are doing BCom honors. So BCom honors, maybe we already have few subjects related to this. So I'm sure you must be getting some idea about it as well.
Ma'am, proper organization of people and resources.
Hmm. Right. And what kind of resources are these?
Ma'am, like in a college, there are human resources which are to be managed, and people resources. Staff only we have to manage in educational sector mainly.
Hmm.
It is their human resources is main, and in the industrial sector there is machine, uh,
Hmm.
and in mining sector there are coal or iron or whatever they are mining. They are different type of.
Correct. So majorly there are four types of resources generally that we call them, right? So one resource can be people, which is the most important because without people you can't really introduce anything. Then second is the product or services. So like you're saying that, if it's a manufacturing, then there is a product that is there. If it is a coal industry, then coal is the major product. Suppose it's a travel industry, then they are just selling the services to the people. So that is also, a kind of a resource. Then other resource becomes the equipment through which we actually do all the other things. So in the equipments or instruments can be anything. For manufacturing industries, it can be the machinery. For coal, it can be again the machineries which helps them take out the coal from there. And for other organizations, for example, where they have corporate offices, bigger offices where people are studying, then maybe the computers and the technologies that they are using. that becomes the equipment, that becomes one of the resources. And the fourth resource which you are going to study, which is finance. Without funds, without finance, without cash flows, you cannot really build up anything. So that's again becomes one of the major and important resource. Right? So these are the four resources. So management says that it is a process of coordinating people and resources to achieve organization goals. Right? So you have to manage your people, and how are these people going to manage all the other resources is what about. Right? There are four major things that comes under management. One is planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Right? So when we say planning, planning means what do you do when you
Forecasting
plan?
before the work has been done.
Correct. So planning means looking into the future because you are planning it ahead. So forecasting, where we are planning ahead for anything that is there. Then organizing
To place the resources and the people in the proper place.
in a proper order. Correct. Right? So everything has a place. That's the rule also. So everything has a place. You just need to put those things in the order for those placements. Right? Then leading becomes people management part, that you are leading somebody, right? You have proper control over the people. You're directing them. You're ensuring that people are who are planning, once they are organized, they need to be led so that you can show them a right direction where they can be doing their career progression, professional development, and overall organization's development as well. And then last is controlling. Why controlling is required now in an organization?
Ma'am, without the supervision, proper supervision, maybe we execute the plan, but in between that, some problem occurs because of which the plan may be not go in that direction in which we are thinking before.
Correct. Yes. So the control comes with processes. We create a lot of policies and processes in organizations so that we can ensure that everything, the resources that we have selected, people, product, finance, and other things, all of them are being utilized in the right manner in the organization. There should not be any loose end. कि एक बार आपने cash छोड़ दिया full, कि ठीक है आप खर्चा कर लो, so the organization may not have a control over it. Similarly, for people, if you leave them just like that they can come anytime, they can go anytime, they can do whatever work they would can do, it will not bring the desired achievement or goals that the company will have for them. So, in order to achieve success or productivity and profitability for any organization, we need to have these four principles, four general rules: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling of resources. Then, what impact does it make to the organization having proper management? The impact is higher productivity, employee satisfaction, people are happy, they want to stay in the organization for longer term period if you are looking after them properly. They want to work more because their morale and motivation is higher, and profitability. Any organization that runs in anywhere in the world, first principle, first major goal that they have to achieve is profitability. So that's how the impact will come from the management portion of it. Now, moving forward, what are the key functions? This we already spoke about, right? Planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So I'm not going into the details. This PPT I'll share with you so that you have it for the definitions. Then what are the skills required for effective management? So for example, tomorrow you go and you are being given an organization, a department to run. So what are the things that you are going to bring to the organization so that you do everything very effectively and efficiently? One is following all those things that is there. What more you are the what kind of skills do you think you would require?
Ma'am, firstly, the person should be a problem solving person, so
Hmm.
that if any problem occurs, he or she can manage it easily. And the speaking skills or communication skills should be very good to
Correct.
handle the situation.
Hmm.
Uh, the person should also have the leadership quality to supervise or direct the subordinates. And
बिल्कुल.
the person should not be the short tempered person, or and also quick decision maker. The person
Yeah,
should be decision maker also. That's all.
good. So you have a very good understanding of this, right? So the skills required for effective management, like you can see the screen, right? These are four major skills that is required for anybody to lead any team inside the organization, other than the functional skills. So, for example, if you're going to head a finance department, obviously your financial knowledge and the principles of finance is very important to know. You would know about all the taxation, you would know about all the reconciliation and all other things as well. But other than that, to manage purely the team and the organization, you need to have these four competencies, or we call them skills as well. Number one, which is most important, like you said, is leadership skills. Leaderships are required because once you have to delegate tasks, because एक तो होता है कि you are working along with people, like we do, create committees in college, we work together to do something, so maybe, organize an event and all that. But when you are in an organization, you need to delegate some of your tasks to your team members also, because ultimately you cannot do everything on your own, right? You need the right size of people. To delegate, you need to have that leadership quality so that people understand and take you as their leader. So that skill is very, very important. And that comes with a lot of learning, and that comes with a lot of practice as well. Because sometimes what happens, you become too lenient, too open with people, they start taking you as a friend. Now, in an organization, if you become a friend of somebody and then direct them or then show them some path, it becomes a little difficult. So you need to be a friend. You need to be really good with them. You need to be very polite with them and still be able to motivate, inspire, and direct. So that is the kind of leadership skills that is required in an organization to run very, very effectively. Then second is problem solving skills. Now, problem solving skills, like one of the skills you said that important is to make and create decisions, right? Whether it's a right decision or a wrong decision, that comes later on. But important for an organization is that the decisions are taken at the right moment. If that gets delayed, there are chances that the organization or the department can get into a problem. So that is very important. Now, how decisions are generally being made in an organization, there is a proper method of problem solving. That rule of problem solving has to be put or inculcated in every leader in the organization so that they can learn it as a skill, right? So problem solving कैसे होती है? You have to identify a problem. Once the problem is identified, you need to work on alternate solutions for that particular problem. That what are the alternate solutions that is available with me right now, looking into all the resources that I have within an organization. So, for example, there is a very important and crucial tax that you have to deduct. Right? आपको GST deduct करना है किसी client के लिए अपनी company के अंदर. Now, the problem is that the client is not agreeing for GST deductions. He or she is just trying to tell you that without GST deduction, do whatever transactions that you have to do. Now, this is your problem. Now, what are the alternate solution for this particular problem? You will see four, three, two different solutions. Tell me what can be the solutions for this? If some client doesn't want to get the GST deductions,
Ma'am, by showing the charity or donation, we can just hide this key. The income of the person is not this, but he or she donated this much, so GST will not be deducted from his income.
no, GST is not done deducted from income. TDS is deducted from income. GST किससे deduct करते हैं? GST is goods and services tax. So goods and service tax किससे कटता है? Yeah, from the transactions we do. It's okay. Yeah, हो जाता है ऐसा, right? The other one that you are saying is correct also. That's called TDS, which is, the amount that we deduct once the person has earned some income.
If GST is not GST.
कोई बात नहीं, you will study it later on, right? So maybe just take it a hypothetical situation कि अगर कोई client है, वो कहता है मुझे GST नहीं कटवाना है, right? Because the product that I'm selling you or I'm taking from you, I don't want to show it in my bill. एक
तो
solution हो सकता है, या
बिल पेमेंट हो जाए उसकी, या फिर अंडर द टेबल, मतलब प्रॉपर बिल उसका ना बने और अंडर द टेबल आई परचेज दैट प्रोडक्ट एंड ही और शी सेल्स दैट प्रोडक्ट टू मी।
correct.
एक
So not under the table, but maybe for half of the amount you give
हाँ,
them so that the full GST may not come. Yeah, that can be one of the solutions. Because
the
company के अंदर we can't do all that, under the table वाला thing. The company follow a governance, a rule. So then these things cannot be done. Right? So it's just an example, hypothetical situation we are taking. Generally, client also doesn't say all these things. So once you have the problem, you have identified few solutions to it, three, four alternate solutions. Now you have to decide and think about that out of these solutions that I have obtained, what can be the best solutions at this scenario right now? Looking into the client, looking into the uh, anger of the client maybe, or how crucial or important that client is for us. Also looking into the our own governance and ethical principles of the organization, what best we can do. Right? So that solution out of the three or four alternate solutions then becomes your decision for that particular problem. Right? This is where we do problem solving properly, and every situation that you encounter in an organization, you will always have to start using this problem solving analysis and skills. It makes the life of management manager much more easier than what we generally think that should be. Then third principle, third effect skills where that is required is communication. Again, like you said, that it doesn't matter whether it is Hindi language or English language or any other thing. But yeah, majorly when you work in an organization or in corporate, it is required that you talk and write in English because the emails generally consist of English writing, right? So majority of the people prefer that you have good writing and speaking skills, especially when it comes to certain roles in the company. For example, sales role may it's very important. If the kind of clients that you have, so your English knowledge is very important for communication properly. So depending upon the role that you are taking in the organization, your communication skills should be effective. Now, effective, when we say the communication should be effective, means that whatever you are saying, that has to be understood or received by the other party properly, right? If the other person whom you're communicating with is not able to understand whatever you are trying to say, and when I say understand means not just the language, it also the pitch that you're talking in. Whether you are going too fast, whether you are going too slow, whether your pitch is very high, you are talking, in a very high note, or you are talking and whispering, people are not able to hear you. All these things are rules of communication that has to be done in an effective manner. So the pitch, the tone in which you're talking, the kind of communication method that you are using, whether it is important for somebody to pick up a phone and talk or write a message or write an email. These things has to be decided in an organization very, very crucially. Because sometimes what happens that you don't mean to hurt somebody or you do not mean anything bad about the for the person. But sometimes when you don't choose to talk to the person and instead write a text or an email, the other person may not take that particular thing in a good manner. Right? So such confusions generally happen, which can be avoided if you are using the right channel for communications as well. So communication is a skill because you need to understand all those things that we are talking about right now. And it has to be done with all the other stakeholders, which is employees in the company, the leadership team, which is the management of the organization, जो CEO है, executive directors हैं या general management होता है वो, customers, with suppliers or vendors that we are using, and other stakeholders who are there in the company, right, with whom we are working. Now, the fourth important thing is strategic thinking skills. Now, how strategic thinking comes to us? What is the difference between strategic thinking and other normal thinking?
Ma'am, uh, if we do something with strategy means before doing the job, we have to make the plan and know what to do and how to do, and where to reach, what the result we want. by thinking all this, we make the strategy and then execute our actions.
Correct. So strategy generally says, generally, the meaning of that word is ki think big picture. Think about the future, what will happen. Think about the larger time period or larger picture कि क्या होने वाला है. Because generally what happens is we have to take smaller decisions कि अभी क्या हो रहा है, what is the process right now, what is the problem right now. But when you start looking into the long-term things, sometimes you have to let go of certain things in the near future. हो सकता है कुछ डिसीजंस आपको ऐसे लेने लगे जहां पर अभी आपको लग रहा हो कि प्रॉफिट हो रहा है बट आने वाले टाइम में ना हो. So strategic thinking says you have to think about that time period where the profits are larger, where the teams become larger, the company will get more benefit than right now. So you kind of not maybe get indulged in the products, you may not get really. So for example, if you have a company, right, your own company, and you want to sell new mobile phones in the market, right? Now, mobile phone is your product. Now you launch a mobile phone in the market, which is equivalent to or kind of have feature which is very similar to iPhone. Right? So, what kind of strategic thinking you will involve in launching that particular phone in the market? You know that your product is really good. You know that it can be not all the features, or most of the features can really give a good competition to iPhone,
Ma'am,
and you have to
firstly,
launch it right away.
the price of the product should be lesser than the iPhone. Then
Hmm.
only it will affordable to everyone.
Correct. So that's a larger picture. You're not looking into the current thing and you are thinking of the future as well, which is a big picture thing that my features are good. I can compete with iPhone, which is the latest one. And if I think of right now, maybe I'll keep a competitive price. कि उनके अगर 1 लाख रुपए का है तो मैं भी 1 लाख रुपए रख देता हूँ या रख देती हूँ 99,000 रख देते हैं. But if you look into the longer term period, you will see that your pricing would be done in a manner that it is more suitable to the Indian audience than the entire world. Because iPhone, obviously, it will take time for you to reach to that level where when the company like iPhones are being introduced in the market. So that comes with strategic thinking that you are looking at the larger picture. You are thinking critically about your products, your services, your resources at this point in time, and you're always looking at the long term direction. You do not have anything short term in your mind. And when we say long term, these days, पहले के टाइम पे हमारा क्या होता था long term होता था 10 साल 15 साल. Now long term is also 3 years. It's a good time period because तीन साल में new AIs technology is coming, new products are coming up. If you think of iPhone तो हर 6 महीने में ही नया iPhone आने वाला है आ रहा है राइट. सो उनके लिए तो खैर मार्केट ही अलग दिशा में चल रहा है बट मेजोरिटी ऑफ द टाइम लॉन्ग टर्म पर्सपेक्टिव इज गुड 3 years that any product and service that you're going to launch, keep that in mind that for at least 3 years you have a plan ready. You have everything ready, which in terms of your resources, people, finances, so that you can really build up a very good market for yourself. Correct? So these are the skills that is required for a manager. Now, what are the challenges of being a manager? It's a very, very important thing. I have written just 4 of them, but I'm sure जब हम companies में काम करते हैं तो बहुत सारी और भी problems we face, different kind of challenges. But these are 4 major ones that comes to my mind. For example, now you have to give me an example or just think of a scenario कि आपने कुछ manage किया हो अपनी maybe in college something, an event that you organize, any community that you have done, and you have to change, you have to be the manager. What kind of problems you faced during that time?
And firstly, the problem occurs, that is deadline of the function or the work.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
second is the coordination and cooperation of my co classmates and staffs and professors.
Hmm.
And the third is the person or the co classmates working with me should be responsible as well for the management what is done in the college. And
Mm. Sorry, can you just give me a minute? Just give me 1 minute. I'll just be back. Huh? Hi, Ripley. Sorry. Yeah. Shall we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying something about being a manager.
Ma'am, I think first problem occur for a manager is the deadline to done
Hmm.
complete the work, and second is to handle the conflict between the um, co-workers or subordinates or the management level, and third the climatic change or some natural disaster if it take place, then the like COVID happens.
Hmm.
That's all from my side.
Good. Right. So very nicely you said, right? Because COVID is basically a different kind of a change that came in, right, for anybody. And nobody was completely ready for managing such kind of changes. So yes, challenges for being a manager is basically managing that change that comes with any problem, right? So number one, like you said, is time management. So time management, yes, is about managing timelines also, but also about how to prioritize your things in a right manner. Because once you become a manager, आपकी list, to-do list for every day becomes too heavy. So sometimes this is where that competency or that skill of delegation properly to other team members in your department is very, very important and crucial. Because everything that becomes of high importance, of high priority, and suppose it has a very high value of kind of bringing the right profitability in the organization. As a manager, you need to handle that stuff more, right? Rest of the things where the client is not that important, not very big ticket is coming in, and you are not free, so you can let go of those responsibilities and give that responsibilities to the team. So that is for time management. Like many of the managers in an organization, जब हम time management की training लेने जाते हैं organizations में, we see that many managers waste their time in checking their emails and phone calls. Lot of time goes into, because पूरे एक दिन में छोटी छोटी प्रॉब्लम्स भी उनके टेबल तक आने लगती हैं फॉर मैनेजिंग, ये भी खराब हो रहा है, वो भी चीज चल रही है, ये भी चल रहा है. And maximum managers in organizations do not know how to manage their time. And that is the reason why the productivity or efficiency doesn't come properly. So in order to bring that efficiency, the right productivity, कि आप अगर 5 घंटे भी कंपनी में काम कर रहे हो, जनरली 8 आवर्स की शिफ्ट होती है, तो 8 आवर्स काम करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है फॉर एनीबडी, फॉर अ ह्यूमन बीइंग. Some portion wherever, when you go into the office during the morning hours, you are really really very active, right? So those active hours have to be utilized in a manner कि आप जितना भी important decision making का काम है, जो important काम है, वो आप शुरू के उन 2 घंटों में कर लो when you are very very active, right? Then after 11 o'clock, you become a little, busy, and you have your mind is occupied with so many things that is happening. You have handled certain situations. So 11 baje ke baad, then you can keep certain meetings which are important, where you can also listen to other people's and then can take a decision. Then after lunch becomes little lousy. I mean, little lazy for everybody, because lunch कर लेते हैं, आप ऑफिस से बैठे बैठे बहुत टाइम हो जाता है, एसी चल रहे होते हैं. So that time of the afternoon needs to be utilized in some creative work, where you do not have to sit idle. You are actually with people. You are either thinking, ideation हो रहा है, बातचीत हो रही है, brainstorming हो रही है, any such thing that is happening, or you have to do a lot of documentation and paperwork quickly. ये पेपर चेक किया, इसको साइन करके आगे भेज दिया, कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी का काम है वो कर दिया. So all those things. That is how your priorities for time management is divided generally in an organization. Depending upon whatever role you are, you can change these things accordingly. The idea is that maximum things can be done in an organization, but without taking much of a has the what do you call hazard, so that you are not stressed, the anxiety is not upon you, but still your team and you are all bringing productivity into the picture. Second आता है managing change now, because हर दिन everything every day is changing in an organization. Something comes, some competitors comes into the market. Sometimes government is changing rules. Sometimes in situations like COVID comes in. So different things keep happening inside the organization, and sometimes outside the organization, but it has an impact within the company. So business के अंदर changes को manage करना is a very important skill, and that becomes a challenge for a manager if they are not ready with the proper skills that we just studied about. Problem solving होना चाहिए, decision making होना चाहिए, analytical skills होना चाहिए, strategic thinking skills होना चाहिए. If you have that kind of a thing, so for example, in COVID duration, a lot of companies managed their employees really, really well. How come they manage their employees really well? Nobody was prepared for something like COVID. And some organization immediately asked their employees, after a month, they said कि आप छोड़ दो company. We do not have money. Funds नहीं है. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि किसी कंपनी जो इतने सालों से चल रही हो and suddenly they say that we do not have funds, right? So that means they're not able to manage that change properly. What about the companies who managed it so well? What was so good about them?
Their managers are more they have more managerial ability in
Better skills, right? Better managerial skills. Also, they had more experience and exposure, which they wanted to utilize and see कि करके देखते हैं, because nobody knew कि कितना लंबा जाएगा कोविड का टाइम पीरियड, right? So during that time, we all thought कि अगले 3 महीने का करके देखते हैं. Let's see if the lockdown goes beyond that. Then we will see what can be done. But somehow, many organizations sailed through it with the number of employees that they had. Maybe some pay cuts were given to everybody, keeping in mind that people are now working from home, तो उनका commutation time बच रहा है, transportation बच रहा है. Also, companies wanted to keep that fund for the future so that that can also be utilized for the employees. Right? So a lot of companies just decided on cutting 20% salary, 30% salaries, 40% salary, depending upon the contingency funds that the companies have. This is how you manage and change things. Also, many organizations got into, we had a lot of business during that time. As an organization which I run, we were thinking कि हमारा क्या होगा, because most of the clients are not working. So what kind of work we are going to do? Because our dependency is on that. But somehow many organizations started organizing training during that time period. कि आप work from home लो, stress related training, anxiety related training, how to manage uh, how to manage work from home, these kind of training. So we got more than the work that we generally get in the training and development. So this is how, when you plan for things ahead, you start getting to manage the change in a very, very effective manner. Then आता है third, managing diversity. Now, diversity is a very crucial topic these days. And it has nothing to only do with HR management or people management. It has to do everything with an organization. See how an organization can manage diversity. When we talk about diversity, generally we speak about women and men, just the gender diversification. But there are much more things beyond that that is happening inside the organization. For example, people coming from smaller places into the larger organization, उनका भी एकदम cultural difference हो जाता है, right? Sometimes they are not able to adjust. They don't know कि suppose they are from a very smaller cities like maybe Banaras. From Banaras, if they have to move to Mumbai, it's a very, very big thing. The culture is different. The timelines are different timelines in the sense that Mumbai is a 24 hours kind of a city, right? And different kind of workforce, language and cultural differentiations are there. So all these things are very important for every manager to understand कि मैं अपने यहाँ पे कंपनी के अंदर डाइवर्सिटी को कैसे मैनेज करूँ, whether I am sensitive towards the needs of the people or not. अभी जैसे सोसाइटी में करते हैं दैट शेड्यूल कास्ट को नहीं टच करना है, बैकवर्ड क्लासेस को पानी नहीं देना है, अपने ग्लास में नहीं पीना है, सेम यूटेंसिल्स यूज नहीं करने हैं. अब इमेजिन द सेम काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स वी स्टार्ट डूइंग इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. डू यू थिंक द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल बी एबल टू मैनेज ऑल दोस डिफिकल्टीज? They won't. So once from the society you start working in an organization, you have to let go of all these things. It becomes difficult for people. Some people still carry those, stereotypes in their mind. But some people have to, if they have to become a good manager, they have to let go of all these things. They have to start treating everybody equally. And that is the reason why one major policy that we create in organization is equal opportunity policy. Equal opportunity says that no matter what race you are from, what age group you are from, what category you are from, we do not bother. If you have the right skill, if you have the right qualification, and you fit to the profile that we have in the organization, you are most welcome. to work with us. And no matter what gender. So now gender के अंदर भी there is a differentiation. Now you must be looking at कि पहले से men women होता था. Then third gender started getting recognition. Transgenders got this. Now LGBTQIA has become LGBTQIA and others. इतना सब बड़ा हो गया है. So now people have started becoming more aware about these things कि क्या है, what is L, what is G, what is B, इसके पूरे बारे में. So when these people are coming and working in your organization, you need to be sensitive about their needs and requirements because they are more sensitive in terms of their emotions. They are more sensitive in terms of what kind of washrooms they have to use, what kind of infrastructure do they require. Similarly, then aate hain disabled people. Now, if somebody has a disability and they want to be getting a job in an organization, what kind of things are you really providing for them? If the person is using wheelchair, you need to have a ramp so that the wheelchair can actually come inside the organization properly. If the person is just using crutches, you need to ensure that there are not too many stairs that the person has to use. Because with crutches, it becomes difficult to use too many stairs. So these are few things that you need to ensure for managing diversity in the organization. And once you manage diversity, you become an inclusive organization automatically. And when we talk about organization, it comes with people, so that mentality, that, what do you call it, that quality of bringing that change in me first should come, and then you start talking about the organization. अगर leadership management में नहीं होगा ये skill, so then it is very difficult that people in the organization will also understand that kind of thing. फोर्थ आता है then handling conflicts. अब जहाँ लोग काम करेंगे, जैसे हम पंजाबी में हिंदी में कहते हैं कि जहाँ बर्तन चार रहते हैं वो बजते ही हैं, राइट? So this is what happens with people. If you have people working together in the teams in different departments, there are 100% chances that disputes or disagreements will arise. हम जैसे family में भी होते हैं. If there are siblings, more than you have a brother or sister, I'm sure you must be fighting about something or the other, whether clothes, whether bed, कौन से side पे सोना है, कौन सा glass use करना है, different kind of things. Similar things happens in organization with people. मुझे वो project चाहिए था, आपने किसी और को दे दिया. I am more experienced, still you gave that particular work to another person. I wanted this responsibility. मुझे वो चेयर चाहिए थी बैठने की. मेरा वहाँ पर मुझे एसी ज्यादा ठंडा लगता है. So you won't even think of the situations and people will come with conflict with you, especially if you are handling HR. But because you are a manager also and you have a team to handle, so first point of contact would be you as well. So these people's problems, disagreements, and disputes have to be very efficiently and effectively given a resolution. That's why we follow conflict resolutions systems in the organization. There is a proper policy of it. There is everything written down by the organization in a policy and a process that this is what we follow. But generally, as a manager, it's our responsibility to manage those conflicts, become a mediator between both those them so that the mediation can happen in a right manner. Both the parties will feel that they are a win-win and they still contribute towards the productivity and proficiency into the organization. Because if the conflicts are not resolved properly in an organization, some of the people might not be interested to continue the work inside the organization. They will remain absent. Their lack of interest in doing the work will cause problem in the productivity and profitability automatically. It also then they create negative environment. Right? Suppose you are not happy with something, your conflict is not resolved. What will you do? You will talk to your friends inside the organization. This is what happened. My manager could not manage it. वो फिर धीरे धीरे वो gossip फैलता जाता है and then it becomes a problem in an organization in a larger set of things. If people start listening to it, and it becomes a grave situation for organization. So handling conflict immediately as soon as it arises is a very important skill or a challenge that comes to a manager, and you need to handle that very efficiently. Right? Any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
Now, because technology has taken over a lot of things from our life, so it's very important that now we start taking the role of technology in management also. Now, what is the role of technology in management? Automation, data analytics, collaboration. These three things have become very important. Automation is that, there are a lot of things and you need to do repetitively every day. Now, what is required for that? There are lot of softwares available, or you can create ERP systems where you think that if I have to say, for example, it's a call center. पहले आप देखोगे call centers were where people used to manage the calls. Now, what is happening? All the bots are handling your calls. So, suppose you call on a Vodafone or Airtel or Jio, there is not a person that you're talking to. First person of contact would be a robot. Robot means it is going to the machine. Machine has already fed all the answers and questions, and then it is answering you back. If the problem goes beyond whatever is being fed in that system, then they will tell you that, okay, one of the people representative will talk to you or they will call you back. So that automation has happened because what happens is most of the calls that comes to the call center are of similar nature. कि हमारा सिम कार्ड अटक गया है, आई हैव लॉस्ट इट, या प्रॉपर्ली काम नहीं कर रहा है, द नेटवर्क इज नॉट कमिंग, my payments are high. So most of the major of the problems are of similar nature. And having a person handling that call and 20 different calls in a 20 similar calls in a day is a very hassle kind of a thing. So you are utilizing your people for better things, and all these things which can be automated to save the time can be given to the automation, the machinery. Then आता है data analytics. Now, data analytics in organization is very, very important, where you can use all the tools, where you have all the database management available to you. Now, what kind of database is available with us all the time? You're in finance. Finance में सबसे ज़्यादा data होता है ना? What kind of data?
Ma'am, related to money, the debit, credit, about the deposits we have received in the bank and withdrawal we have taken from the bank.
Everything, you name it and you have the data in finance, right? Related to people's account, related to what kind of salaries they are getting, what kind of income tax deductions are happening for them, how what is the strength of the company in terms of कितना कैश फ्लो है कंपनी के पास, what kind of funds are available, पिछले 5 सालों में हमने कितना इनकम किया. Now, whatever you have earned in last 5 years, what kind of revenues the company has created, out of those revenues, आपके expenses क्या रहे, what kind of profits you have made, all this data is available with you. How are you interpreting that data and utilizing it for future is called data analytics. That whatever database is available to you, you have to utilize proper resources, proper data in a manner that it can help you in deciding the planning for the future completely. So that you can become more strategic, you can become more prepared for all the problems that can come in, and you can prepare. So for example, last 5 साल का आप डेटा देख रहे हो and you see that मई जून जुलाई हमारे जो भी बिजनेस हम कर रहे हैं, मान लेते हैं कोई XYZ बिजनेस है, and you are seeing that in last 5 years May June July becomes very slow for us, right? बाकी सारे months में the target that we have, the revenue target we have is achievable, completely हो जाता है. हर साल May June July becomes very slow. So now you have that figure available with you, you have that data available with you, that information is there. So now as a manager, what you can do is, so that your sales in these 3 months or your revenue in these 3 months becomes much more better. So you start preparing for that from the month of February, March, so that the impact on May, June, July is not lower. Right? That is called effective utilization of data, or the informed decision based taken basis on the data that is available with you. हर एक field के अंदर there are different kind of data analytics that you can use. So for HR, generally we use HRIS system. For finance, you have different ERPs that is being utilized for taking the right kind of decisions. Tally के अंदर data होता है, मतलब finance तो is all about data only all the time, everywhere. Then finance का जो data है, that can be very helpful for the organization to create decisions for the future as well. Right? सिमिलरली मार्केटिंग के अंदर डेटा कि हमने पिछले 4 साल में सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग पे इतने पैसे लगाए, डिजिटल मार्केटिंग पे, उससे हमारे को हर महीने 20 लीड्स आ रही हैं, 20, 25, 30 लीड्स आ रहे हैं. नाउ पर लीड व्हाट इज द कॉस्ट दैट आई एम accruing? Now calculating that cost. Now going forward, if I have to utilize in digital marketing skills, what I need to do, I need to get it better decisions. I need to get better results coming out of the similar amount of money if I'm spending. Because पिछले 5 साल में digital marketing was not that popular. Now digital marketing is so popular, everything that is being sold is basically sold on social media more. How many of us actually go and see TV these days? Everything is available with us in OTT platform. Netflix भी phone पे ही चल रहा है, phone पे नहीं चल रहा तो laptop पे चल रहा है, TV पे भी चल रहा हो, so then you don't see those kind of advertisement that you used to see in the past, right? So the entire way of how we are doing marketing, how people are taking decisions basis what kind of products and services they have to buy is become more digitally. Right? So how you're using that data कि digital पे मैं इतना पैसा लगा रहा हूँ, so people are becoming much more aware of it and they are buying my products and services more. Right? For example, I'll give you an example of Kriti Senan, who has launched her makeup product these days. She's not marketing it anywhere else. कहीं पर भी. She's not marketing it on TV. She's not doing any advertisement. The only marketing that she is doing for the product, her product company's name is Hyphen. It's there on social media. You will see your social media and every third advertisement that is coming either on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else is from Hyphen. So the amount of money that is being utilized now is for the digital people, जहाँ पर उन्हें पता है कि the generation is available who will buy my product, who are more willing to invest in my product. This is what the marketing has become. So imagine a person like Kriti Sanan, जिसके पास पैसा है, she can always utilize that money in advertisements, larger advertisements. और उनको पता है उनका target audience कहाँ पर है, so they are utilizing the data analytics in a manner which will help them then selling out their products and services much more better way. Right? Then third आता है technology में collaboration. How are you collaborating people with machineries now? ऐसा भी नहीं होना चाहिए कि everything is handled by the robots. ना? Bots के साथ or AI. You need to have a collaboration so that your team is effectively utilizing that data and improving your communications and problem solving. So that collaboration has to happen with technology so that the managers can take real decisions. So for example, suppose you are a CEO of a company. अब आप CEO हो कंपनी के, आपको अगले 2 साल के लिए बिजनेस प्लान बनाना है. How will you create the business plan? What major information you will require from people working with you?
What are the ideas they have? I will take that ideas for first, and then analyze with my idea. Then I will go for the plans.
But ideas आएंगे कैसे? What is the role of technology in ideas?
Ma'am, like if we want to make self-driving cars, and
Hmm.
my team is ready for that, uh, I will ask them to hire the engineers or technicians for the purpose to make the application and coding to do coding for that, so that we proceed our works, or the designer for the model of the car.
बिल्कुल,
uh,
absolutely.
I think this will work, and
Yeah,
the advertisement team for after that to advertise that.
correct. So what kind of technology are you using or what kind of data information you are using here?
Ma'am, firstly we are using the AI for that, and humans, as well as the market demand is in
Right.
that.
So market demand you will study. Also, you will study about what are the competitors who are already there and doing self-driven cars. What are the features that they have? That data or information has to be with you. Now, with data, that data and information that you have, now you will collaborate and ask your people that now design something. You will tell your scientists or people who are into product management, you will tell them that, okay, these are the features. Elon Musk की car में, this is the features which are there. Now, if I want to make a self-driven car better than an Elon Musk car, what needs to be there? एटलीस्ट एक फीचर ऐसा हो जिसको मैं सेल कर सकूं, अदरवाइज ही हैज अ बिग नेम, ही हैज अ बिग मार्केट, ही विल ऑलरेडी ऑक्यूपाई द लार्जेस्ट, what can I do about that? So that is a collaboration between the technology and decision making or problem solving that is required for IT being part of the, for technology being part of the management principles, right? यहाँ से आ जाते हैं अब आपके 14 principles of management. Very, very important. I'm sure some of it you have already studied because you were doing BCom honors. Yes, the subject है proper एक, right? But so we'll go properly about this. What can be done? So what I have done is I have given you the definition, an example, and what kind of tips which can be used, which can be done in the organization. So number one, very important is division of work. Now organization says that everything, whatever you're doing, has to be divided properly as per the qualifications of the person, as per the experience of people, and as per the skill or merit that they are bringing into the organization. राइट, सपोज हम मान लेते हैं कि एक इंजीनियर है, एक दीप्ति है जिसने बीकॉम ऑनर्स किया है, एक कोई और आईएम से कोई मैनेजमेंट पढ़ के आया है, वो है. नाउ डू यू थिंक ऑल थ्री ऑफ देम कैन बी गिवन अ सिमिलर अमाउंट ऑफ वर्क और सिमिलर वर्क इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन?
No, ma'am.
Right? So, basis your qualifications and the other two people's qualification, experience that you are bringing, number of years of work experience that you have, and the exposure that you are bringing to the organization, the division of work happens. The definition says specialization of tasks to increase productivity and efficiency. एग्जाम्पल है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू आर वर्किंग इन अ रेस्टोरेंट किचन, एक शेफ इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर सैलेड, another one is involved in entrees जो स्पेसिफिक जाते हैं उसके लिए, and the third person is there for desserts, because for one person doing everything together will become probably difficult to manage. Now what are the tips that you are taking from it is that you need to have a very clear job description of each role that you have in organization, right from top to bottom. And then are you offering proper training opportunities for everybody so that they progress also? Nobody would like to stuck in their job. So even if that chef, one chef is managing salads, tomorrow that person will say कि बहुत साल हो गए मुझे salads करते हुए, now I want to get into main course or I want to create something more. So what kind of training opportunities, what kind of specific requirements that the person has, what kind of career progression you're showing to them is very important as part of division of work. Right? So that's one principle. Second principle is authority and responsibility. Now, we have been talking about managerial skills. So, with managerial skills come authority and responsibility. Now, there is an organization. Everybody has got their division of work. सबको मिल गया अपना अपना काम. दीप्ति को अपना मिल गया है, अर्चना को अपना मिल गया है, इंजीनियर को अपना मिल गया है, किसी और को भी अपना मिल गया है. But what kind of decisions I can make in my role? Am I allowed to make a decision for 20,000 rupees or 50 lakhs rupees? Am I allowed to take big decisions so that I can handle the client properly, और मुझे अपने बॉस से परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी? So that authority का definition and कितनी responsibility मुझे दी गई है has to be clearly defined in an organization. That is the reason why we write down job descriptions with proper responsibilities कि ये सब आपके काम रहेंगे when you are working in an organization, so that it is very clear to you कि कब आपको decision लेने के लिए help चाहिए, कब आपको खुद डिसीजन लेना है, और कब आपको अथॉरिटी भी है कुछ और काम करने की. As soon as you become larger, you are handling larger teams in the organization, you have more authority. Responsibility can remain same, but authority can differ from one position to another fast. फिर आता है आपका इसका एग्जाम्पल. So for example, a team leader has the authority to assign tasks to each team member, but each member is responsible completing their own task. Right? अब now suppose you are the manager of your organization, one of the organization. अब आपने सबको अपना अपना काम तो दे दिया, but you can't sit with them every time and you can't ask them कि ये भी करके दिखाओ, ये भी करके दिखाओ. You have given that set of responsibility, let them do their set of responsibility. So your authority is to delegate the task, their responsibility is to manage that task. Right? Similarly, अब CFO होते हैं कंपनीज के, they will be able to handle much more bigger decisions. कि पैसा कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करना है राइट टाइम पर, कहाँ कंपनी का पैसा कहाँ से हम उठा सकते हैं, कौन से क्लाइंट से हम अचानक पैसा मांग सकते हैं in case we do not have funds in the organization. So all these things a CFO can take a better decision. Suppose you are the manager finance in the company, would you be able to take such large decisions in the organization? Not possible, right? You will be having an authority to take decisions to certain levels. कि 50,000 का कुछ देना है किसी क्लाइंट को, वो मैं पैसा दे सकता हूँ, मेरे पास ऑलरेडी उसका सैंक्शन है कि आई कैन टेक डिसीजंस अप टू 50,000 rupees cash or 1 lakh cash that is involved. So these things are very clearly written down in the job descriptions also, so that people are aware what kind of authority and responsibilities. Then third आता है discipline. Now discipline is very important in an organization so that people know to follow the rules and processes and guidelines. Because if we don't follow the rules and guidelines of the organization, will become like what we are right now, society. एक प्रॉब्लम तो वही आ जाएगा जिसके बारे में हम भी बात कर रहे थे, द डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स. पीपल विल कम विद देयर ओन माइंडसेट, दे विल कम विद देयर ओन थिंग्स कि मुझे दलित के साथ नहीं बैठना है, मुझे इस कास्ट के साथ नहीं बैठना है, मुझे उसके साथ खाना नहीं खाना, दिस डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स विल कम अप. किसी एक को प्रोजेक्ट पे एक साथ लगा दिया, दे विल से नो आई डोंट वांट टू वर्क विद दिस पर्सन बिकॉज आई डोंट नो फ्रॉम व्हिच बैकग्राउंड दिस पर्सन इज. So that rules and guidelines are very important so that all these basic problems are taken care of. Then second major problem that comes with the discipline solves is, for example, now everybody is not from a very good background in terms of financially. सबका status same नहीं होता है. But when you're working in organization, your status does not matter. What matters is again your merit and the qualification and the work that you're handling. So some organization goes to a level where they have a very strict dress code policy also. Some organization have uniforms, proper uniforms. Some have dress code policies, so that people are not really bringing a lot of blingy things into the office, or they are not showcasing or just doing the show off of things that they have. So this discipline actually keeps them in under control all the time, without even saying every day that this is what you need to do. Right? Similarly, discipline ka another part hai punctuality. You're coming right on time. There are attendance rules. There are rules that is there. Even if there is a flexibility that has come after COVID, a lot of companies have given work from home, hybrid situation of work, different kind of things. But again, they also come with a set of rules or guidelines that people have to follow, keeping compliances in mind. So that becomes very important in organization. Tips क्या है इसके? Create a code of conduct. So generally, every organization have a policy or guidelines of code of conduct कि हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के कल्चर के हिसाब से दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव टू डू. Second, they have to follow consequences. The punishment is also written down very clearly. If you're not following the discipline, or you're not being punctual, or you're not really following the rules of the company, then you are getting into a trouble as well. The troubles can be, the consequences can be termination of job, सस्पेंशन, एनीथिंग. इसके अंदर डिसिप्लिन के अंदर और भी चीजें आ जाती हैं, जैसे हरासमेंट नहीं करना किसी का. हरासमेंट कैन बी फिजिकल, वेयर आपकी फाइट हो रही है या आर्ग्यूमेंट्स हो रहे हैं. सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट की पॉलिसीज अलग है, देन विसल ब्लोअर पॉलिसीज अलग है, एथिकल वाली अलग है. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स हैव अ पॉलिसी कि आपके एथिकल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट क्या है, क्या क्या चीजें एथिकल हैं कंपनी के अंदर करने के लिए. आप ब्राइब नहीं ले सकते, चोरी नहीं कर सकते, यू कांट रियली take data out of your computer. All these rules are written down, right? So these are the important things that needs to be taken care of when we are talking about discipline. Then आता है unity of command. Now unity of command says that every employee which is there will report to one supervisor, not to too many people, so that it becomes difficult for them. अगर आप एक काम कर रहे हो, आपके ऊपर 4 मैनेजर हैं, आप किसकी बात सुनोगे? So it becomes sometimes very conflicting for the organization and for the people to get into this thing. So that is why this rule of unity of command, that each employee will report to only one supervisor. एक supervisor के अंदर 5 लोग हो सकते हैं, 5 people reporting into him, but one employee cannot have 5 supervisors, right? Now example है इसका, in a large corporation, an employee would report to their immediate manager rather than multiple managers. इसका टिप्स क्या हो सकते हैं? क्लैरिफाई हु एम्प्लॉय शुड रिपोर्ट टू. आपने जब उनका जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन बनाया, आपने बहुत क्लियरली उसके अंदर लिख दिया कि दिस इज द रिपोर्टिंग मैनेजर दैट यू आर गोइंग टू हैव इन द कंपनी, राइट? Now you are training your managers so that managers can handle multiple responsibilities or multiple number of people. That's what unity of command says. Next principle is unity of direction. How unity of command and unity of direction differs?
Ma'am, unity of demand states that every person in an organization should have head and one plan. That is, all the um, person working in an organization should have equal, sorry, same goal to achieve.
Yeah,
That is
correct.
to achieve the
Absolutely.
organize
So
with
that
the
that
personal.
direction, yeah, so that direction that you are going actually should be very clear to you. इसीलिए कंपनी का विजन और मिशन कंप्लीट सभी को पता होना चाहिए. एंड योर गोल्स आर रिटन डाउन इन अ नीट मैनर. आपके जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन के साथ आपके गोल्स भी लिखने चाहिए. सपोज आप सेल्स में हैं तो आपको कितना रिवेन्यू कम लेकर आना है. 2 करोड़ की आपने सेल कर दी है हर महीने, 50 लाख की करनी है. डिपेंडिंग अपॉन योर क्वालिफिकेशन एक्सपीरियंस यू आर गिवन दैट क्लियर गोल्स. कितने लोगों को आपने ट्रेन करना है अपने अंडर वो भी आपको लिख कर दिया जा रहा है. सो दैट्स डेफिनेशन ऑफ कॉमन गोल. First with the department, sorry, first with the organization goal, then organization goals are categorized into departmental goals and then individual goals. So that has to be clearly written down. Next आता है आपका subordination of individual interest to general interest. Now what does it mean? कि आपका कंपनी का इंटरेस्ट should come first before your personal interest. Right? So yes, companies can be empathetic कि आपकी फैमिली प्रॉब्लम्स हैं या आपको कुछ प्रॉब्लम बीमार हो, आपके घर में कोई बीमार है, सब कुछ है. But that interest of managing your own personal things cannot come before the organization. Ultimately, all organizations would be bothered because they are paying for your services for number of hours. So you need to give them that much. Okay? Companies can be empathetic in the manner that they can give you extra time. They can be flexible. They can give you money to handle that particular crisis or situation. अगर आप कंपनी में काम कर रहे हो काफी टाइम से, but you cannot really put your interest over the company's interest. Some example is given during a pandemic. Employee wears a mask and follows safety guidelines to protect the health of the entire office. So that's not for the personal interest कि आप नहीं पहनना चाहते हैं mask, but it is for the general public in the office who are working together, and you need to ensure their safety is also what most important. What are the tips that we can do in an organization to follow this principle properly? Is create a culture that values teamwork and collaboration. The higher the teamwork and collaboration between various teams, there are chances that you are bringing much more value to the organization in the company. Next, इसका टिप क्या हो सकता है? Reward employees for going above and beyond. Anybody who is working more for the organization should be rewarded. कि उसने कभी भी कुछ पर्सनल प्रॉब्लम नहीं लेकर आया अपने ऑफिस में. होती सबको ही है, but there are people who manages their problems in the right manner. There are people who do not create difficulties for others. They're always team workers. They are always doing collaboration with different people. So you generally can provide some rewards for these people for being more congenial than the others. Then remuneration, very important principle again for management, is whatever work that you are doing as per your qualification, merit, experience, exposure, you need to be compensated well for that. And when we say compensated well for that, गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ रूल्स बनाए हैं, विच इज मिनिमम वेज एक्ट बनाया हुआ है उन्होंने. उसके अलावा भी कितना बोनस मिलना चाहिए वो बनाया हुआ है. प्रोविडेंट फंड और ग्रेचुइटी से रिलेटेड रूल्स बनाए हुए हैं. सो ऑल दोज थिंग्स हैज टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द कॉम्पनसेशन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली. Also, as a company, you need to ensure that what your competitors are paying for the same role. So, for example, Deepthi joins in my organization as manager finance tomorrow. Now, I need to ensure कि किसी को 3 साल का एक्सपीरियंस किसी कंपनी में है, she is a CA or she is a BCom honors, उसके basis पे I will decide that salary, her competency, and then what is the market ratio of the same compensation in the similar kind of an organization. So this is how the example of compensation is. किसी को आप आवरली वेज दे रहे हो, किसी को आप कमीशन बेस दे रहे हो। अब जैसे हम लोग किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ जुड़ते हैं, सो दे गिव अस फीस, प्रोफेशनल फीस एवरी मंथ, or depending upon the project that we take. So what kind of compensation is there? कंसल्टेंट्स क्या हायर कर रहे हैं, आपने कोई ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम लिया, ट्रेनिंग इज वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड थिंग। एक ट्रेनर 5,000 रुपए भी ले रहा है, कोई ट्रेनर जो ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है, एक्सपोजर है, जिसको ज्यादा टूल्स टेक्नोलॉजीज पता है, वो 2-2 लाख रुपए भी ले रहे हैं। सेम काइंड ऑफ ट्रेनिंग के सब्जेक्ट सेम है, ऑब्वियसली द कंटेंट विल डिफर। तो आप कैसे डिसाइड करोगे कि 5,000 वाला ज्यादा अच्छी क्वालिटी दे रहा है या 2 लाख वाला ज्यादा अच्छी क्वालिटी दे रहा है? Not just on the pricing, you will take demo of their sessions, then you will decide कि किस तरीके का पैसा देना है. So those things will also come in compensation, not just for the regular employees but for the contractual people that you are hiring to do the job. Then tips क्या है? Offer competitive salaries and bonus. Competitive salaries means what is the market paying, so my salaries are designed according to that. Then provide opportunities for career advancement. Career progression का बनाना बहुत important है. There is a pyramid that we create for people. सबसे ज्यादा लोग होते हैं हमारे एग्जीक्यूशन लेवल पे, नीचे वाले लेवल पे। 50-70 लोग मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में काम कर रहे हैं, सेल्स एग्जीक्यूटिव हैं। धीरे धीरे जब प्रमोशन होता जाता है तो पिरामिड ऐसे बनता चला जाता है। सो दैट पिरामिड हैज ओनली वन लीडर, सीईओ होगा या मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर होगा, एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर होंगे, उनके ऊपर बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स बैठे होंगे, वो अलग। बट दैट इज हाउ द पिरामिड जनरली बीन इंक्रीज। तो वो करियर एडवांसमेंट आप किस तरीके से दे सकते हो कि आप 15 एम्प्लॉय में से 2 चुन ले हो मैनेजर बनाने के लिए। So those rules and regulations of how they are performing, what kind of growth they will have to show, what kind of skills they have to show at every stage, so that you can do proper remuneration and designation change. Then centralization, ये सबसे मजेदार प्रिंसिपल है आउट ऑफ ऑल द 14, मतलब बाकी सबका डायरेक्ट implications होता है when we are using it in this. Centralization is a little difficult to manage sometimes. It says that concentration of decision making power at higher level of management, कि जितना भी सब कुछ हो रहा है कंपनी के अंदर, वट एवर इज हैपनिंग इज बीइंग डिसाइडेड बाय ईदर द एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर्स और द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स। बाकी जितने भी लीडर्स और मैनेजर्स हैं उनके पास बहुत ज्यादा पावर्स नहीं है। ऐसी कंपनीज बहुत आगे चलकर बन जाती हैं, बहुत लाला बेस्ड कंपनीज जिनको हम कहते हैं। वाई वी कॉल देम लाला बेस्ड कंपनीज? बिकॉज दे डू नॉट रियली रन प्रोफेशनली, दे वांट टू कीप ऑल द डिसीजन मेकिंग इन देयर हैंड्स। उससे दो फायदे भी है, उसके नुकसान भी है। फायदा ये है कि बहुत ज्यादा लूज नहीं होता है कुछ भी, एवरीथिंग इज वेरी टाइटन्ड अप। उनको पता है कितना कैश खर्च करना है, कब खर्च करना है, कैसे देना है, किसको देना है। बट हैंडलिंग एवरीथिंग for one person becomes a really, really difficult task. So centralization sometimes becomes a problem, and so sometimes it's a really, really good thing, depending upon the size of the organization as well. अब एग्जाम्पल क्या है इसका? द हेड ऑफिस मेक स्ट्रेटेजिक डिसीजन दैट इफेक्ट ऑल द स्टोर्स। अब ये अच्छी चीज भी है, खराब चीज भी है। कि आपके सपोज आप किसी रिटेल चेन में काम करते हो, कोई भी नाम ले लो, आपसे रीबॉक के हो आप, राइट? रीबॉक का मेजर ऑफिस बना लिया हमने बैंगलोर में या मुंबई में, पर हम उसकी चेन्स कहाँ है? ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, ऑल ओवर इंडिया में भी है, सब जगह, हर एक सिटी में आपको रीबॉक के 4-5 स्टोर मिल जाएंगे। नाउ एवरी डिसीजन यू सेज कि मैं वहां पर बैठ के लूंगा बैंगलोर में, एंड देन उसका इम्पैक्ट सारे स्टोर्स में पड़ेगा। कई बार हो गया आपको कि लेट हो गए आप डिसीजन देने में, इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं पहुंची, या अगर इंफॉर्मेशन पहुंच भी गई तो जो डिसीजन आपने एक बड़े शहर के हिसाब से लिया है वो एक छोटे शहर में ना काम हुआ है। द प्राइसिंग एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स समटाइम्स मे नॉट वर्क फॉर एवरी स्टोर, बट रिबॉक इज अ कंपनी जिसका ब्रांड ऐसा है तो उनकी प्राइसिंग बहुत ज्यादा डिफर नहीं हो सकती है। So that is the reason why they keep all the decision related to pricing in centralized manner, but baki how the store needs to be run are decentralized. Right? We'll talk about decentralization इसके just बाद कि क्या इफेक्ट हो सकता है सेंट्रलाइजेशन और डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन का बोथ। राइट? जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल है, इंडिया का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, दैट बीजेपी वांट्स टू कीप अ वेरी टाइट कंट्रोल ऑफ सेंट्रलाइजेशन। they want कि हम सेंट्रल में मेजर वो है, बिकॉज प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज फ्रॉम दैट पर्टिकुलर, सो दे से कि हमारे सारे डिसीजन स्टेट लेवल के भी हम सब लेंगे अपने आप ही। राइट? सो उससे क्या फायदा हो जाता है? उससे फायदा ये है उनको कि एवरीथिंग इज अंडर देयर कंट्रोल, द लीडरशिप इज वेरी टाइट, and they can say that all the decisions are majorly taken by two people, Amit Shah and Modi ji. Now, when you do this way, sometimes you become too strict for people, right? कई बार आप ये नहीं सोचते कि स्टेट लेवल पर भी बहुत सारे डिसीजन लेना जरूरी हो जाता है, सो दैट द स्टेट लेवल रिलेटेड पॉलिसीज बिकम्स मच मोर इजी एंड यू आर गिविंग सम अथॉरिटी टू द सीएम ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर स्टेट ऑल्सो, चाहे वो बीजेपी की स्टेट का ही हो, right? अभी ऐसा सुनने को नहीं मिलता क्योंकि बीजेपी हैज केप्ट इट एवरीथिंग वेरी सेंट्रलाइज्ड। पहले क्या होता था, स्पेशली कांग्रेस के टाइम में जो हमने पुराना देखा है उसमें होता था डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन बहुत था। इवन इफ कांग्रेस इज इन द मेजर पावर, बट बहुत सारी स्टेट के पास पावर्स होते थे अपने अपने रूल्स और रेगुलेशंस बनाने के लिए। सो वो स्टेट लेवल डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन भी था। ऐसे ही कंपनीज के अंदर होता है, कुछ डिसीजंस दे कैन कीप सेंट्रलाइज which can be created in the corporate office where the major headquarters of the office everybody sits there, and few decisions they need to let go of so that branch level or retail level जहां पर भी stores हैं आपके offices हैं, some levels of decision can be taken there as well, so that your flow of information is always clear and proper. अब आता है आपका स्केलर चेन। स्केलर चेन क्या कहता है? ये प्रिंसिपल मैं हमेशा स्कूल में कॉलेज में भूल जाती थी। आई यूज्ड टू ऑलवेज फॉरगेट अबाउट दिस वन, मे बी
There
बिकॉज ऑफ द नेम। या
Ma'am, there should be a proper chain follow in the organization that subordinate a subordinate to if he has a problem, any query or any problem he faces, so he can't directly go to talk to the top level.
बिल्कुल,
Should
डायरेक्टली,
uh, tell to the supervisor, and then he will continue that chain and it will go to the top level.
करेक्ट। So again, it's a part of the centralization that everything has to be follow a command of chain, right? Whether it is an information, चाहे top से bottom आ रहा है, bottom से top आ रहा है। For example, a decision has been taken at the top, वो एक chain follow करेगा कि CEO से गया डायरेक्टर्स के पास, डायरेक्टर से डिपार्टमेंटल हेड के पास, वहां से बाकी एम्प्लॉयज के पास नीचे तक आ रहा है। Similarly, like you said, there's escalation है, कोई problem आ गई है, there is an escalation. So what a junior executive will do, they will speak to the supervisor. अगर supervisor level पे manage हो गया, it's fine. Otherwise, it will go to the manager, senior manager, similarly. This is called scalar chain in the organization. Again, इसके भी अपने फायदे और नुकसान हैं. Majorly, it brings lot of what do you call it?
It's time
Clarity.
consuming.
हाँ, sometimes it becomes time consuming अगर hierarchy बहुत लंबी है तो। अगर hierarchies बहुत ज्यादा बड़ी नहीं है, then it's a very very efficient way of managing problems कि आपको हर लेवल पे कुछ अथॉरिटी देना पड़ रहा है। एवरीथिंग इज नॉट सेंट्रलाइज्ड। जहां सेंट्रलाइज्ड होगा वहां स्केलर चेन काम नहीं कर पाएगा प्रॉपरली, राइट? ये मतलब ये प्रैक्टिकल सिचुएशन में हो जाता है। नाउ ऑर्डर। Order is related to the first thing that we study, organizing. Everything has a place and you need to keep that thing in the order. Clean and organized office space can be one of the example. Another example is अपना टेबल जो आपके पास है उसको क्लीन रखना, जो ऑफिस में आप यूज कर रहे हो। योर फाइलिंग हैज टू बी प्रॉपर। अगर आजकल आप कंप्यूटर्स और सिस्टम्स यूज कर रहे हो, एवरी फोल्डर शुड बी वेरी क्रिस्प एंड क्लियर कि ये जीएसटी टैक्सेशन का है, ये टीडीएस टैक्सेशन का है, ये इनकम टैक्स के लिए है, दिस इज फॉर अदर पर्पसेस, दिस इज फॉर कैश फ्लो एंड फंड्स. So every folder talks basically about how organized you are in terms of managing your roles and responsibility. What it helps in bringing more productivity and reducing stress and anxiety. Because सब कुछ फैला पड़ा होगा, सब कुछ इधर उधर होगा, it will be difficult for you to see मैंने वो फाइल कहाँ रखी थी, कहाँ से मुझे ढूंढ के लाना है, कौन सी फाइल के अंदर कहाँ पर मैंने स्टोर किया हुआ है. सो ऑल दिस थिंग्स बिकम्स वेरी cumbersome at the last moment. The more organized you are, the most orderly you in terms of doing your responsibilities. इसके टिप्स भी वही है. Encourage employees to keep their desk tidy, workspace tidy, and create a system for organizing work tasks and documents. Whether filing कर रहे हैं या कंप्यूटर में कर रहे हैं. सॉरी, ऑर्डर दोबारा आ गया है इसमें. इक्विटी. Equity says all employees should be treated fairly with given great equal opportunities. Like I said, that every organization now has a proper policy which says that we are an equal opportunity employer, declaring that. And it's not just about declaration, it is also about following and implementing that on a day-to-day basis in an organization. आपका हर एक डिसीजन कंपनी के अंदर फेयर होना चाहिए. व्हेन आई से फेयर, इट शुड नॉट हैव कि आपने दीप्ति को हायर किया जो बीकॉम ऑनर्स है, उसको आपने 50,000 सैलरी दी, पर आपने एक और लड़के को हायर किया जो सिमिलर क्वालिफिकेशन में है, पर आप उसको 60,000 दे रहे हो जस्ट बिकॉज इज अ मेल. So this pay parity disparity between male and female should not be there. That's when it is called fair and equal opportunities for people. ये बहुत ज्यादा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में एग्जिस्ट करता है. इनिशियली नहीं करता है. इनिशियली जब हम कैंपस से लेते हैं बच्चे या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ज्वाइन करते हैं, उस टाइम पे इतनी ज्यादा डिस्पैरिटी नहीं होती. वुमेन का करियर इस तरीके से होता है दैट वी जनरली हैव टू मेनी गैप्स. ब्रेक्स आ जाते हैं बीच में. once there are chances when we are getting married, there are chances that many women do not contribute or do not directly go ahead in the same organization, or maybe they have to take a break of 6 months, 1 year, depending upon कि आपकी situation कैसी है. Second major break आता है when you become pregnant. That pregnancy and maternity breaks become very difficult to handle in terms of your career progression takes a break during that time. आपके जो मेल काउंटर पार्ट थे जिनके साथ आपने ज्वाइन किया, वो जब आप वापस आते हो मैटरनिटी से, आपको लगता है कि वो 2 साल आपसे आगे निकल गए, 1 साल आगे निकल गए हैं. The salaries have become much more higher. It should not be the case generally. उतना गैप ठीक है जितना आप टाइम नहीं रहे हो ऑफिस में, बट टू मच ऑफ पे पैरिटी प्योरली बिकॉज ऑफ दीज ब्रेक्स दैट अ वुमन टेक शुड नॉट बी the case in the organization. That's what we teach also, and that's what most of the organization have started doing it also. और अभी तो ज्यादा हो गया मेटर्निटी को लेकर. बहुत सारी कंपनीज जो स्मॉलर कंपनीज हैं, प्योरली बिकॉज पहले का ब्रेक होता था 3 months का एज पर द गवर्नमेंट रूल्स. नाउ द गवर्नमेंट हैज सेड दैट 6 months शुड बी द ब्रेक, एंड 6 months द कंपनी हैज टू पे द सैलरी टू द एम्प्लॉय. सो वो बहुत ज्यादा पेन लगने लगता है कंपनी को कि वो वुमेन काम तो कर नहीं रही है, फॉर 6 months वी हैव टू पे देम एडिशनल सैलरी. So somewhere the leadership team is also at difficulty. That's why it's very important that equity is being followed properly in an organization, so that, and you will see most of the organization who are following equity in a proper manner are very very successful. जैसे गूगल है, these companies, Coca-Cola, Reebok, all these companies are very superbly written principles. बहुत ज्यादा differentiations नहीं करते हैं. So they follow कि merit है, qualification है, experience है, you are working, no matter what kind of break you have to take, you don't have to take, we will still give you the kind of things that is there as per the qualification and experience of the person. Right? How we can handle the situation nicely is be transparent about कि आपके promotions कैसे होते हैं company will need to be very thorough and transparent about that process, so that everybody in the organization are aware of that. What kind of compensation decisions you are taking, again, that should be very very clear and transparent within the organization to everyone. Code of conduct should mention कि discrimination and harassment would be punished, so that there is no difficulty that is coming through not following the principles of equity. फिर आ जाता है stability of tenure of principal. Now, majority of the organization currently is basically going through this particular problem of not having too many stability of tenure of people. Like you will see in older time, what used to happen, people would be happy to stay in one organization throughout their time. चाहे private में हो, public में हो, दोनों में. They used to say, government और job वाले तो obviously नहीं छोड़ते थे. Even private organizations में 10-10, 20-20 साल निकालना was very common practice. Nowadays, you will see in last 10 years, this has changed tremendously in organizations, where people think 2 साल भी काट ली हमने एक organization में, that is more than enough. So the time span of an personal means an employee in an organization has reduced over a period of time. So now what can be done so that people become more loyal to the company and they become more productive? Because जितने ज़्यादा साल आप एक कंपनी में बिताओगे, there are chances that the companies are more productive during those period. जितना जल्दी employees छोड़ के जाते हैं, the cost of changing the employees is very high for everyone. Because once a new person comes in, 3 से 6 महीना उनको प्रॉपर ट्रेन करने में लग जाता है, सो दैट दे नो द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वेल, दे नो देयर जॉब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वेल, and then they start giving results to the organization. So it is very important for every company to manage these principles, keeping people happy. How happiness comes? Happiness comes with employee satisfaction. How satisfaction comes? Satisfaction comes with all these things that we have written down here. Employee retention metrics. क्या क्या चीजें आ जाती हैं इसके अंदर, कि क्या क्या किस किस तरीके से टर्नओवर हो रहा है, कितने सालों तक एम्प्लॉय रुक रहे हैं कंपनी के अंदर, हर कैटेगरी में क्या कितना उनका वो हो रहा है, उनका एम्प्लॉय सेटिस्फेक्शन आप सर्वे कर रहे हो तो क्या रेट आ रहा है आपकी कंपनी में, एवरेज एम्प्लॉय को कितने बेनिफिट्स मिल रहे हैं कंपनी के अंदर, राइट। हर कंपनी के अंदर कॉस्ट ऑफ एम्प्लॉय टर्नओवर कितना है, आपका एट्रिशन रेट अगर आप कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो तो आपको कॉस्ट ऑफ टर्नओवर भी कैलकुलेट करना होगा कि चेंज कर रहे हैं कंपनी से एक एम्प्लॉय को तो कितना खर्चा आ जाता है. What companies do generally is, I'll tell you in a practical scenario. Suppose Dipti has been there for 2 years in the company. Right? Now Dipti ने executive join किया था 2 साल में, she is a senior executive in the company. मुझे एक और नया सीनियर एग्जीक्यूटिव हायर करना है, सो दीप्ति की 2 साल में सैलरी विद इन द कंपनी 50 से 60,000 हो गई है 2 साल में. जस्ट अ फिगर आई एम गिविंग, राइट. 10% इंक्रीमेंट के साथ अगर हम जाते हैं तो 60,000 पे काम कर रही है. बट नाउ आई वांट अनदर सीनियर एग्जीक्यूटिव एंड आई लुक फॉर द market to hire a new senior executive in the company. Now the rate in the market for new senior executive is 75,000 rupees. Now the new person joins at 75,000 and Dipti gets to know of it. मेरे को तो 60,000 दे रहे हैं, the new person has been hired. Similar qualification है, same experience है, उसका मेरी कंपनी में experience भी कम है, बाहर से ज्यादा है. I know this company more, so obviously I should be given the similar kind of salary. So यहाँ पर dissatisfaction आना शुरू हो जाता है companies के अंदर लोगों में. And then Dipti says, okay, fine, I will also look for job outside, and I will also get an 80,000 rupees job somewhere. And she does that. और वो मिल भी जाता है, right? Because experience है, exposure है, designation है, सब कुछ है. So now what companies should do in this scenario is, if they are bringing somebody at 75,000 rupees from outside, what ideally they should do is, for the company person that they already have, which is Dipti, they should automatically offer her a salary कि उसके बराबर हो जाए. If not 75,000, at least 70,000, so that the gap is not really that much. Right? So that the satisfaction level is also there. अभी तो हम salary की बात कर रहे हैं, dissatisfaction की. Now there are so many other things that brings dissatisfaction. किसी को टाइमिंग सूट नहीं कर रहे होते हैं, so what kind of things that you do. किसी को the manager पसंद नहीं आ रहा होता है because manager is very very strict or partial or not really very good. So बहुत सारे different तरीके के problems कंपनी के अंदर आते हैं. That is the reason why we need to do employee satisfaction survey every 6 months or every year at least. Employee satisfaction surveys generally are offered or done in a manner that anonymous रहते हैं. People may not name themselves. They can just answer certain questions and then you get to know कि कैसा आपकी कंपनी का हैप्पीनेस क्वेश्चन है, कितने लोग खुश हैं, कितने लोग कंटेंट हैं, कितने लोग छोड़ के जाना चाहते हैं. You will get that and then you create your policies accordingly. You create your benefit programs accordingly so that you keep them for as long as possible and as long as they are really really good for your organization, right? हाँ, ऑल्सो इसके अंदर स्टेबिलिटी ऑफ टेन्योर में आता है आपका कंपनी और करियर प्रोग्रेशन शुड बी डेली. द करियर पाथ ऑफ द कंपनी, द डेवलपमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी दैट यू आर गिविंग टू एवरी एम्प्लॉय, जिसके अंदर ट्रेनिंग्स, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, what kind of MDPs you are organizing for them is very very crucial so that people stay happy. जब वो लर्न करते हैं, न्यू चैलेंजेस आते हैं, डिपार्टमेंट हेड बन जाते हैं, देन इट बिकम्स मच मोर इजियर फॉर देम टू लर्न एंड ब्रिंग प्रोडक्टिविटी इन द कंपनी. नेक्स्ट प्रिंसिपल आता है इनिशिएटिव. Initiative is very very self explanatory, encouraging employees to take the lead in solving problems and developing new ideas. Now it's one of the important principles. कब से है I don't know. हेनरी फॉर्ड ने कब बनाए थे? 1904, 1924 में I think these principles were formed in management. Imagine from then to now, initiative in the organization is still a very very questionable quality. बहुत सी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कहती हैं आप अपना काम करने आए हो, जॉब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपको दी है उतना ही करो, डोंट ब्रिंग टू मच ऑफ न्यू आइडियाज एंड इनिशिएटिव। बहुत सारी कंपनीज नाउ अब कहने लग गई हैं पिछले 10-15 सालों में, स्पेशली द थिंग्स हैव चेंज बिकॉज ऑफ द एआई एंड आईटी दैट इज बीन इंट्रोड्यूस, दैट यू चेंज द आइडिया ऑफ हाउ वी आर वर्किंग, you bring your own initiatives, you become much more creative in whatever you are doing, so that जो एक तरीका था पहले काम करने का, now you have much more better options available to do the same job in a different manner, right? So that initiative says that कि आप हर रोज सुबह जब आ रहे हो कंपनी के अंदर, you should be happy that you are going to the company and you are going to make changes in the way the work is being done. इसका टिप्स क्या हो सकते हैं कंपनी के अंदर, दैट द कंपनी हैज टू क्रिएट अ कल्चर वेयर दे आर गिविंग अपॉर्चुनिटी टू पीपल टू बिकम मोर एक्सपेरिएंशियल एंड क्रिएटिव. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, नाउ different kind of institutes and universities are there in India, राइट? टॉप 10 की बात करते हैं तो बहुत सारे नाम आ जाते हैं, आईएम्स के नाम आ जाते हैं मैनेजमेंट में, टेक्नोलॉजी में देखें तो आईआईटीज के नाम आ जाते हैं, डिफरेंट यूनिवर्सिटीज एंड कॉलेजेस के नाम आते हैं. बट द मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ पेटेंट विच यूनिवर्सिटी हैज, उसका नाम टॉप 10 में कहीं भी नहीं आता. बट दे हैव मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ पेटेंट्स, मतलब कि उन्होंने डिफरेंट तरीके के साइंटिफिक सोल्यूशन प्रोवाइड किए हैं, नए एक्सपेरिमेंट किए हैं, नए इनिशिएटिव्स निकाले हैं. विच इज दैट यूनिवर्सिटी इन इंडिया? आइडिया? शुलिनी इज वन ऑफ दोस. सो शुलिनी के पास सबसे ज्यादा हाईएस्ट नंबर ऑफ पेटेंट्स हैं आज की डेट में, बिकॉज ऑफ द क्रिएटिविटी एंड एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन देयर पीपल आर, दे आर लेटिंग देयर पीपल डू. बहुत अच्छा लैब्स बनाए हुए हैं, टिंकर लैब्स, अटल लैब्स, सब कुछ उन्होंने बहुत ही एडवांस तरीके से बनाए हुए हैं. एंड दे गिव दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर पीपल कि दे कैन डू लॉट ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन, फेल भी होते हैं, फिर उनको पेटेंट के लिए भी भेजते हैं, सक्सेस भी हो जाते हैं, और फिर उन्हीं से वो लोग स्टार्टअप्स और कंपनीज को बेचना शुरू कर देते हैं या अपने आप खुद बना लेते हैं कंपनीज. सो दैट इज बेसिकली क्रिएटिंग दैट कल्चर वेयर यू आर गिविंग wings to the ideas that people have. You are giving them a platform कि मैं एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकूं, फेल हो रहा हूं तो कोई बात नहीं, राइट? सो दैट हैज टू बी डन विद एवरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. ये हर एक जगह पॉसिबल इसलिए भी नहीं होता बिकॉज इट इज लिटिल कॉस्टली एज वेल. Because if your experiments fail, your creativity ideas fail, it obviously has a cost to it. So if the organization has kept a fund separately for initiative, creativity, and experimentation, then it is good. But otherwise, for smaller things like bringing change into how you handle day-to-day activities, आप क्या creative कर सकते हो लोगों के साथ, especially in HR, marketing. These are the departments where you can bring smaller experimentations and creativity also into the place, right? फिर आता है एस्पिरेट द कॉप्स. एस्पिरेट द कॉप्स इज टेकन फ्रॉम अ फ्रेंच प्रोवर्ब. फ्रेंच प्रोवर्ब इट सेज दैट एन ऑफिस सॉरी द टीम स्पिरिट इज सेंस ऑफ यूनिटी इन द वर्क प्लेस. एस्पिरिट का मतलब ये होता है कि स्पिरिट ऑफ कॉप्स मतलब यूनिटी. तो स्पिरिट ऑफ यूनिटी को आपको लेकर आना है कंपनी के अंदर, दैट एवरीबडी इज वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स वन गोल, और वही गोल के लिए वी आर वर्किंग इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, राइट? दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट. For example, an official volleyball team helps foster camaraderie and positive workplace culture. That is the reason हम organizations के अंदर भी सब committees बना देते हैं, so that team player becomes very important. Team playing becomes very important. Now, how can team playing can become important is सबको अलग अलग projects में डाल दिया आपने. एक तो आप functional division कर देते हो. Functional division कैसे होता है कंपनी के अंदर? मार्केटिंग अलग है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अलग है, एचआर अलग है, फाइनेंस अलग है, फंक्शन वाइज आपने उनका वो कर दिया. बट फंक्शंस के अंदर ही सपोज प्रोजेक्ट करना है उनको, एक दे हैव टू डू सम प्रोजेक्ट फॉर अ क्लाइंट, और ऐसे ही कोई प्रोजेक्ट करना है, और जिसमें आपको चाहिए एक फाइनेंस का बंदा, एक मार्केटिंग का, दो सेल्स के, एक एचआर का, सो दैट थिंग्स आर बीइंग मैनेज. सो प्रोजेक्ट वाइज टीम बन जाती है, and then this team has to do better job than the others, is what the unity of one workplace says, right? Other than this, बहुत सारे टीम एंगेजमेंट आइडियाज आप कर सकते हैं, सो दैट पीपल शुड फील, बिकॉज फंक्शनल डिवीजन के बाद भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के अंदर क्या होता है, पीपल जनरली हैव फाइट्स एंड कन्फ्लिक्ट्स विद ईच अदर. फाइनेंस और एचआर वाले कहते हैं कि आप मार्केटिंग और सेल्स को ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं, हमें नहीं देते हैं बिकॉज हम बैक एंड वर्क करते हैं. वो लोग सेल्स ज्यादा लेकर आते हैं, सो यू गेट गिव देम मोर प्रॉफिट्स, यू गिव देम मोर इनिशिएटिव्स, इंसेंटिव्स देन टू अस. हाउ कैन यू create an opportunity so that people do not have these kind of conflicts in the organization. Right? So you need to do a lot of team building activities so that everybody is a part of, nobody should feel that they are more important than the other team members. अब सेल्स वालों को अगर ये लगता है कि वो सेल्स लेकर आते हैं बट अगर बैकएंड में एचआर और फाइनेंस या ऑपरेशंस नहीं होगा तो वो कैसे सेल्स लेकर आ पाए पैकेजिंग कौन करेगा लोडिंग कौन करेगा वर्क वेयर हाउस में कौन जाएगा प्रॉपर एम्प्लॉय कौन हायर करके देगा टीम मैनेजमेंट कौन करेगा फाइनेंस के लिए फंड्स नहीं होंगे तो क्या करेंगे सो यू नो दीज थिंग्स हैज टू बी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन बाय द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ओवरऑल so that people will encourage open communication. Collaboration is one of the idea that can be implemented in the culture of the organization. जितना open communication रखेंगे जितना अच्छा collaboration करवाएंगे एक दूसरे department के साथ there are chances that the organization will follow these principles much more nicely. Right? So these are your 14 principles of management, being the last one. Any questions in any of these?
No, ma'am. I understood.
Okay. Yeah, you've already studied it. So yeah, that comes with much idea. Right? So these are the important things. Now, whatever specialization you are going to take, so first 2 classes I think you have for HR. HR, why HR is important to understand, even if you are in a finance, you're taking a finance specialization, is because people management or policy, especially, comes from that. And every policy is generally designed for people in the organization by HR department. So that needs to be understood very, very crucially. Also, compensation principles, compliances like PF, finance और HR बहुत closely काम करते हैं organizations में in terms of the PF, gratuity, superannuation, ESI solutions, minimum wages कितनी करने, compensation methods कितने अच्छे बनाने हैं, taxations कितना कटना चाहिए, investments proof लोगों से collect करना, बहुत ज़्यादा common चीजें हो जाती हैं दोनों departments के बीच में, especially in compliance and compensation area. So that's where they need to collaborate together and work. So it becomes much more important for every, in fact, for every specialization, knowing the general management, thoda sa HR, finance, marketing, all of this is very, very important. Crucial. So tomorrow's class is about introduction to HRM, and then you will connect with Hardik sir for that. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll join you next week.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much from my side. That's all it is. And I'll share this PPT with sir, or maybe, and then sir will share it with you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Deepti. It was lovely interacting with you today.
Same here. Good day, ma'am.
Bye bye. Good night. Bye bye.